I feel like this is going to be one of my most controversial videos that I have ever done. Let me just say something. The reason I feel why ranking videos are so unique is because we all have different opinions. How I've placed these Halloween movies, I think, is going to shock a lot of people. So this is why I feel like this video is going to get a few thumbs down, but that's okay, because we're all entitled to our opinion. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you agree with me, which I really don't think people will, if you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. That's what that button is there for. If you don't like the video, give it a thumbs down. Okay, this video is totally unscripted. So, here we go. This is my ranking video for the entire Halloween movies. Let's start the video. Okay, number 11. In my opinion, the worst Halloween movie in the entire franchise is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I fucking hate this movie. Mainly because, obviously, Rob Zombie's name is written all over it. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really like Rob Zombie's movies. I've seen House of a Thousand Corpses, I've seen The Devil's Rejects. And to me, they just seem all the same. And the fact that he got a hold of Michael Myers and the Halloween franchise just killed it for me. Briefly talking about the first movie, he gave Michael Myers a backstory, which I hate. Michael Myers is not a character that needs a backstory. The reason why he just clicked and killed his sister made him just scary. Just like that. You don't need a backstory. But what he did to Michael Myers in Halloween 2... I mean, yeah, okay, he looks like a homeless person, and I guess he probably would look like that, roaming the streets of Haddonfield without a mask, with, you know, going through trash cans. He would look like a homeless person, obviously with nowhere to live and stuff like that, but not only that, how Michael is portrayed in this movie, how Dr. Loomis is portrayed, how Laurie is portrayed, I hate. I've covered Myers a little bit, so I'm just going to go. Laurie, she's whiny, constantly swearing, and just fucking annoying. She's really annoying. And the character of Dr. Loomis in this movie is just completely ruined. He's so self-centered. He only cares about promoting his book, you know, which is kind of a shame because in the first remake, Dr. Loomis was actually okay. I sort of enjoyed his performance in Rob Zombie's original movie, but in this one he seems like a totally different character. So that's another reason why I don't like Loomis. And the whole thing about the white horse and Michael's mother as a ghost, I mean, it doesn't feel like a Halloween movie. It just feels like another Rob Zombie, generic Rob Zombie movie. And I know Rob Zombie has his fans out there, but I just personally think that Rob Zombie should have, you know, just stick to his music. You've also got Sheriff Brackett and Annie. Now, those two characters are actually probably were the saving graces of this movie for me, because I will practically watch anything with Brad Dourif, because Brad Dourif is one of my favourite actors, and I think he's actually quite good as Sheriff Brackett in the two movies. And Danielle Harris as Annie was pretty good, for depending on how much screen time she had. Also, probably the second best thing about this movie is just the opening scene of Laurie going into hospital and then Michael hunting her down. That was pretty good, but other than that, the movie just fell flat, and I could not find, other than the opening scene, Brad Dourif as Sheriff Brackett and Annie played by Danielle Harris, I couldn't find anything good I like about this movie. And also, Michael fucking talks. He takes off his mask and he says to Loomis, "Die." I have nothing more to say about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 because, in my opinion, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is complete and utter shite. The second worst film in the Halloween franchise for me, coming in at number 10, is Halloween 5: The Revenge of Michael Myers. Mainly because it is boring. It is really, really boring. Dr. Loomis in this movie is annoying, constantly screaming in Daniel Harris's face, trying to track down Michael. Also, the fact that they wasted the character of Rachel from Halloween 4. And the worst part about Michael Myers in this movie is that he walks around with his mask untucked and looking like a fucking alien. The movie is just boring, and you've got Tina, who... Oh my god, I've just remembered. Tina. My god. Why couldn't she have just been killed earlier on in the movie? Trying to entertain Jamie, who is now mute, by going to see Jamie and just going da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's just... Stop. It's fucking annoying, okay? And the fact that Michael Myers is taken down by Loomis, he gets captured, tranquilized, and beaten several times with a 2x4. And then he gets taken to prison, only to be busted out by the Man in Black. And it always got me, why was Michael in prison with his mask on? Why didn't they take it off? They already showed Michael without his mask because he took it off and showed Jamie his face. Why? So they've already shown it once. Why couldn't they have just taken it off in the prison? And the fact that Michael Myers cries in this movie. You do not make Michael Myers cry. That just makes him weak. I don't like Halloween 5. Let's move on. The next worst film in the franchise for me is Halloween 6: The Curse of Michael Myers. I know there's two different cuts. There's, I think it's called Halloween 666, the producer's cut, and then there's the version that we all know, the theatrical release. Both of those movies I just don't really care for. And the reason why I don't like it is because Michael is under control. He's not his own person. He's in a cult. He has to do what he is told. And the fact that in the theatrical cut he's going after Jamie's baby, again, it makes him seem weak. Why is he going after a baby? What can the baby do? It can't do anything. And even worse, in the producer's cut, the 666 cut, Michael raped his own niece. What? It just totally threw the character off for me. However, I will say that Michael Myers in this movie looks brilliant. He is threatening. His mask is one of the best masks in the entire franchise. The mask comes close to being either my first favourite or my second favourite. It's definitely in the top two. Michael in this movie is good, but it's just the story. I can't settle with the story. Other than Michael being good and scary, the whole rape thing, the whole baby situation, bullshit. Other than that, the movie just didn't click with me. It was just meh. The next worst film in the series for me is the film that usually ranks at the top of people's lists for being the worst in the franchise, and that is, of course, Halloween Resurrection. The reason why I've put it at number 8 is because I do actually find some enjoyment out of this movie. The scenes that have Michael in them are actually quite entertaining for me. The film has a few good kills, although there is a kill in the movie with the tripod, which is ripped straight out of the movie Peeping Tom, which I fucking hate, because I really like Peeping Tom. But other than that, the movie has a few good kills. Michael in this movie looks okay. I don't like the fact that he has black eyebrows and he actually has eye makeup under the mask. His eyes are blacked out with black makeup. I don't like that. But I actually don't mind Michael in this movie. What I don't like about this movie is how Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Laurie, is portrayed. She was in the trailer. She was put on all the posters, and then within the first couple of minutes of the movie, she's killed off. And it wasn't even a memorable death. It was quite a weak death, to be honest. Much like Michael Myers, these films can't stay dead. They have to keep going and going and going. If they would have ended the franchise at Halloween H20, I would have been perfectly fine with that, because Michael's death in that movie is one of the best. But of course, they had to come up with an idea of how to bring Michael back, and that was, well, okay, let's think. Oh, I know what we can do. We can have Michael switch outfits with a paramedic, but before doing that, he crushes the paramedic's larynx so he can't talk. So in H20, that's not actually Michael, that's the paramedic. And of course, the worst thing about this movie is Busta Rhymes. I really don't like Busta Rhymes in this movie. His character Freddy, doing all the kung fu moves and dressing up as Michael Myers, talking shit to Michael, and Michael just literally turns around and walks away. That is not Michael. Michael would not take any shit. He should have just killed him there and then. The characters in this movie are just there to die. Halloween Resurrection for me has a few good scenes, and those only few good scenes are with Michael. So that is why I've put it at number 8. Coming in at number 7 for me is Rob Zombie's Halloween, the first remake. I don't like the first half of this movie where it tells Michael's backstory. Michael is a character that doesn't need a backstory. I think I mentioned earlier on in this video, we don't know in the original movie why he clicked and decided to kill his sister. We don't know, and that's what makes him scary. We have no idea what was going through his mind. There was no evidence of an abusive childhood, but of course when Rob Zombie decided to do his own take of Halloween, he gave Michael a backstory. He gave him a reason to kill his family. He was abused by his stepdad, he didn't have a great relationship with his sister, he was bullied at school, and to top it off, his mom's a stripper. Now, putting that aside, I actually like the movie There Onwards, where Michael is in Smith's Grove and he's having his conversations with Dr. Loomis. Those scenes I actually found quite interesting. I also like how Michael went back to his old house and he takes the mask from underneath the floorboards and the mask is all weathered, how it should be. I like that as well. Going back to the first half of the movie, I don't like the scene where Michael is running through the school corridor and the Halloween theme starts playing. It shouldn't play in that specific scene. It should play when Michael dons the mask, because when we think of the Halloween theme, we either think of Michael Myers or the mask. So that score should not have been there in that scene. Like I said previously, I thought Dr. Loomis in the first remake was pretty good. I could actually sit down and enjoy the character. Laurie was okay in this movie. It's only until Halloween 2 where I really don't like her. And of course, Brad Dourif is great, as always, as Sheriff Brackett in this movie. I don't actually mind Tyler Mane in this movie as Michael Myers. It's just up until Halloween 2 that I really don't care for him. In this movie, I thought he was pretty good. He had some brutal kills. And the ending to this movie is obviously completely different from the original Halloween ending. Of course, in the original Halloween, Dr. Loomis shoots Michael off the balcony, and then when he looks, he's disappeared. In this movie, Laurie and Michael fall off of the balcony and she shoots him in the head. If there wasn't a sequel to Rob Zombie's Halloween, I think I'd be okay with that. But because there is a sequel, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, and it connects the two movies, I think it sort of lets the remake down a little bit, because I obviously can't stand Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. But the remake, for what it is, isn't bad. Take out the first half of the movie and have it up until Michael in Smith's Grove, then I actually think the movie is pretty good for a remake. So that's my number 7 spot. Coming in at number 6 is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Now, I actually really enjoy this movie because it's its own movie. It is entirely its own film, and that's what I believe what John Carpenter wanted. They wanted to make Halloween and then leave it at that, and then make an anthology series of movies telling a completely different story each Halloween. I think that would have worked out brilliantly, but because the character of Michael Myers became so popular, I brought him back for more and more and more and more. This movie has a brilliant atmosphere, and that jolly theme tune, Happy Happy Halloween, 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 you get the idea. I absolutely love this movie. It's completely different from the others in the franchise. We've also got the Silver Shamrock Company, who are trying to bring Halloween back to its original roots by killing kids when they put on the masks. It's sick, but it's just, the movie is so great. And of course, when it first came out, it didn't get a lot of good responses, but as time went on, it got a little bit of praise, and that's what the movie should get. It's a great movie. It's a standalone movie. It's just absolutely great. And of course, I can't wrap up talking about Halloween 3 Season of the Witch without mentioning Tom Atkins. He is one of my favourite characters in the entire Halloween franchise. Another great movie that he appeared in was Night of the Creeps, which I really, really recommend. It's a great fun movie. But Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, it's a great movie. I'm glad that now it has the response that it has, and it isn't still regarded as one of the worst in the franchise. Although a lot of people have said that they don't enjoy it because Michael Myers isn't in it, but I appreciate it because it's what John Carpenter and Deborah Hill wanted. They wanted to have a completely different turn after the first Halloween movie, and that's why I appreciate it for what it is. I always have done. So that's my thoughts on Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. The next film that I have picked is Halloween 4 The Return of Michael Myers, and for me this is definitely the most atmospheric Halloween film of them all. It definitely feels like Halloween, especially with the opening titles, with the font that's orange, and it just shows fields with pumpkins, and it certainly feels like you know that the Halloween season is upon us when you watch this movie. It is fantastic. The opening credits alone are fantastic. And the best thing about this movie for me is Danielle Harris's character, Jamie Lloyd. She has to go through so much emotion in this movie, from happy to upset to being scared, being chased by Michael. She goes through so much in this movie, and she is my favourite character in the film. Also, like I mentioned previously, you have Rachel, who's one of my favourite characters in the entire Halloween franchise. She's a great character overall, and of course, she was wasted in Halloween 5. But there we go, that's how it rolls, I guess. Michael in this movie was pretty good. The only thing I don't like is the mask, and Michael is really stocky. He looks like a hockey player. It's like when he gets run over in one scene, and then the camera cuts back to Michael in the road, and when he stands up he's like that. He's just built like a hockey player, as if he's got shoulder pads on. I really don't care for that at all. But I will say that Michael has one of the best kills in the entire franchise, and that is the shotgun kill. Michael is sitting in a rocking chair, and when the character Kelly approaches, Michael stands up and turns, and how the shot is framed up, you seriously think that Michael is going to shoot Kelly, but he doesn't. He takes the shotgun and he impales her through the wall with it. That to me was just so surprising, and it's still today, it's weird to see Michael holding a gun. To me that just seems so weird, but it was such a surprising kill, and it's one of my favourite kills in the film. Also, I think that Dr. Loomis in this movie was pretty good. Much better than in Halloween 5 and 6. I hated him in Halloween 5, like I've said. But Dr. Loomis in this movie was actually really good. I think my favourite portrayals of Loomis, the first best one would be obviously the original Halloween. The second best portrayal would be number 2, and then the third best portrayal would be number 4, The Return of Michael Myers. But overall, all I can say about Halloween 4 is that it was a good return for Michael Myers. Okay, so coming in at number 4 is a Halloween movie that I hold close to my heart, because it could possibly be the second Halloween movie that I saw out of the entire franchise, and that is Halloween H20. Not H2O, because as we all know, H2O is the chemical formula for water. I know a lot of people call it H2O. I don't know why. Even the trailer said Halloween H2O. I've always called it H20, 20 years later. Halloween H20 is a brilliant movie, in my opinion. Yes, okay, it was made in the 90s, or it was released in the 90s. It does feel a lot like Scream, but horror movies that came after Scream did feel like that anyway. One of the biggest examples is I Know What You Did Last Summer. It definitely does feel like that, but the movie's great because Jamie Lee Curtis is back as Laurie Strode. She now has a son played by Josh Hartnett, and I really, really like the character John, who Josh Hartnett plays, because he's trying to convince his mom that Michael is dead, and she doesn't believe it because she's still having visions, she's having nightmares, and she still believes that he's out there. If they would have ended the franchise with this movie, have it been Halloween, Halloween 2, H20, then I would have been fine. I actually prefer to watch Halloween, Halloween 2, and then H20. But they made all the other films in the franchise. Going back to what I was talking about with Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, if they would have had their wish, if John Carpenter and Deborah Hill had their wish that they made the original Halloween movie and then they did a series of anthology films based around the Halloween season, that would have been good. And then maybe, just maybe, somewhere down the line, bring back Michael Myers in a different story. That could have been H20. But it didn't work out that way because Michael Myers got so popular and Mustafa Akkad wanted Michael Myers. And of course, since then, Michael Myers was just being brought back for more and more films. And like I said previously, this franchise is like Michael Myers. It doesn't die off. But with Halloween H20, I like the story. I like the characters. For once, I actually like all the characters in this movie. There's nice little nods to the original films as well. Nurse Chambers comes back, but unfortunately she's killed in the first half of the movie. She's killed before the opening credits. There's also a kind of a tribute to Donald Pleasence. They brought in another actor to do his voiceover as the opening credits roll. I thought that was a really nice touch as well. And for me, the biggest nod and probably the nicest homage was the Psycho reference. Janet Leigh, who was the main actress in the movie Psycho, is Jamie Lee Curtis's mother, and they brought her in for this movie, and she even drives the same car that she drove in Psycho, which would then become her watery grave. It was so good, and the music even plays just before she gets in the car and before she says to Laurie Strode, "Miss Tate, happy Halloween," because in this movie, Laurie Strode is going under a different name. She's now a school teacher and she's going under the name Kerry Tate. I've always found Michael in this movie quite scary. I think it's the movement that he has. He's not too fast, he's not too slow, he's just right. And there's one scene that really stood out to me. It's just after Michael breaks into the closet and Laurie hits him with the fire extinguisher. We see Michael laying on the floor and then he sits up like he did in the first movie, and then Laurie makes an escape, and then the camera is sort of below Michael and he's just walking and there's this really tense music playing in the background. That scene just always stood out to me. And then of course, you know, the mask would change within scenes. At the beginning of the film, Michael wears the same mask that he wore in Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. If they would have used that mask throughout the entire film, I don't think I would have had a problem with it, because that is one of my favourite masks, like I've said before. And yeah, it is better than the mask they chose for H20. H20 just looks as if Michael has been electrocuted and his hair was just like, you know, so I couldn't quite grasp with the fact that his eyes were too visible and that his hair was too electrified. But other than that, the mask is okay. And then of course we've got the mask that we saw in the trailer, which just looks, again, much like Halloween 5, like a fucking alien. I do believe that was the KMB mask that was going to be used. And of course, I am really glad that it wasn't used, because for me, to make a good Halloween movie, you of course need a good story, you need a good actor to play Michael Myers, and to top it all off, you need a good mask. So, overall, I think that Halloween H20 was a very good movie. Michael Myers was portrayed quite good, I think. The mask isn't too bad, it's not terrible, it's nothing like we've seen in Halloween 5 or Halloween 4, which I really didn't care for that mask. Overall, great character development, quite a good story. That's Halloween H20. Now here comes the controversy. This is where I think people will be hitting the thumbs down button. And if you want to do it, that's fine, because that's what it's there for. That's what I said in the beginning of the video. For me, the number 3 spot goes to Halloween. Now, I just want to say, I absolutely love this movie. It is in my top 10 all-time favourite horror movies. It's probably in my top 5. But I believe that the movie that comes next is just slightly better than this movie, but we'll talk about that next. What can I say about Halloween that hasn't already been said? The atmosphere is there, the tension is there, the story is, I think it is one of John Carpenter's best films, next to The Thing and Escape from New York. And one of my favourite John Carpenter movies, They Live. If you haven't seen They Live, which I think probably most of you have, do yourself a favour, watch a slick, smart movie. They Live. It is... I cannot say enough good things about They Live. Go and watch it. But Halloween, the score alone is absolutely incredible. It's so simple, yet so full of tension, but it's just so simple. Those couple of notes. It's just like I've said. It's full of tension. And the original Michael Myers, Nick Castle, probably my second favourite Michael Myers. I know who my first favourite Michael Myers is, but Nick Castle just kicked it all off. He is the original Michael Myers. He is the Shape. Most of the things that I'm going to say right now have already been said about John Carpenter's 1978 classic Halloween. Donald Pleasence is amazing. Even though he's only in a few scenes, he steals the scene that he's in. Jamie Lee Curtis is really good in this movie. I really liked her performance. Even the child actors were really good. Lindsay and Tommy Doyle, the actors who portrayed them, they were really good. I enjoyed them. It's kind of interesting to know that they're going to bring the original actor back who played Tommy Doyle for Halloween Kills. I'm really interested to see how much screen time Tommy Doyle has in Halloween Kills. But going off topic, Halloween, I can't say enough good things about it. I'm going to keep this segment brief because everything that I'm saying right now has probably already been said about this ultimate horror movie. It's absolutely fantastic, but it's at number 3, and that's why I feel like this video is controversial. But we have 2 more movies to talk about. This is my number 2. Halloween 2018. I thought that Blumhouse did a really good job with this movie. Jamie Lee Curtis comes back to play Laurie Strode once again, and in my opinion, this is her best portrayal as Laurie Strode. She just brings so much more to the character. The score, in my opinion, is the best that it's ever been. So much so that I even own it on vinyl, and it's fucking awesome. And of course, James Dew Courtney as Michael Myers. He is my favourite portrayal of the character. He is so close to Nick Castle that it's uncanny, really. Many people will say that Nick Castle is the best Michael Myers. He was brilliant. He was brilliant. He's my second favourite Myers, but there's just something about James Duke Courtney that I absolutely love as Michael. He has in this movie some of the best kills in the franchise, and for once, Michael actually takes the most damage. I like how they didn't try to make him superhuman. He gets his fingers shot off, shot in the cheek, and eventually burned alive. I can't wait to see Michael's return in Halloween Kills and the confrontation between Michael and Laurie once again. I even enjoyed the journalist characters, Dana and Aaron, and I'm interested to see if Aaron will return in Halloween Kills, because we didn't exactly see him die. There's really only one thing that I didn't like about this movie, and that was Dr. Sartain. I thought the line, "You're the new Loomis," was pretty weak, but oh my god, for sure he had one of the most gruesome deaths in the film. Overall, Halloween 2018 was brilliant, absolutely awesome. And I don't actually have a problem with the fact that Michael and Laurie are no longer brother and sister. So now, it comes to number one. At this point it's pretty obvious what my number one favourite Halloween movie is, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. My all-time favourite Halloween movie is the original Halloween 2. And personally, for me, it's the scariest Halloween movie, because Laurie is in a hospital. She's not familiar with her surroundings. It's not as if she's in her own house or a friend's house. Michael is hunting her down in a hospital. He could be around any corner, and that he is. Some people say that Michael moves a little bit too slow. The actor who plays Michael Myers would be Dick Warlock in this case. His movements were too slow, they're a little bit too robotic, but I personally think that he was a great Michael Myers. Dick Warlock was actually also in Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Michael in this movie has some great kills. The most unique in my opinion would be the hot tub kill. I absolutely love Michael's return in the beginning of this movie. The tracking shot as he makes his way to Mrs. Elrod's house is absolutely superb. This movie definitely showed a lot more blood, and from this point forward Michael would become a supernatural slasher. Like I mentioned previously, Loomis in this movie is absolutely great. Yelling at the police of Haddonfield, telling them that he shot Michael 6 times and he is now convinced that Michael is not human. I will admit though, the Ben Tramer death absolutely came out of nowhere, but I love the fact that he's wearing the same mask as Michael, pretty much, except Ben Tramer's wearing a mask that has yellow hair. But it would make a lot of sense if you think about it. Overall, in my opinion, the original Halloween 2 is the scariest and the creepiest film in the franchise. And obviously, for me, the best. Even the score is more upbeat. It's absolutely full of synthy goodness. Whew. So finally guys, that is my ranking list for the Halloween franchise. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a big thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. Also, put some comments in the comment section of what your favourite Halloween movie is. I'd really love to see what your opinions are. And of course, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, and as always, take care.